Jay Abraham here, and we're going to talk about the strategy of preeminence, one of the most redefining and elevating and catapulting strategies I've ever created, and it has transformed companies in industries, I think 1,000 on 5 continents, and it will do it for you too, and it will liberate you because you won't be ever competing again as a commodity. So it's got a lot of foundations, and they're laid out in the Legacy book collection, but I'll give you the key points. First is you want to establish yourself in your market's eye as the only viable source they can possibly turn to for whatever the product either performs at, protects at, whatever the product does. A product does something. It either protects, it enriches, it entertains, it educates, it enhances. So whatever that is, your product or service should be seen as the only viable choice or solution. Your company should be seen as the most trusted advisor they could possibly turn to, and that presupposes that you provide great advice, great education, great understanding, great explanation of what and why your product service is superior, how you make it, how it performs differently, how the whole category of product or service is relevant to their lives or their business. The next is you want to basically give them a perspective they haven't gotten from anyone else. Human beings naturally think they're not being told the whole truth, that there must be a different way to do things. You want to have a different, a better, a more logical, a more practical, a more profitable, a more result-certain way to do it. You want to explain why your approach is superior to what everyone else is teaching them. Next is you want to put into words what people feel. Most people don't really have clarity on what they're trying to get closer to or away from. They don't understand what they really want in terms of a result. In one of my books, I talked about the fact that if you go to a hardware store to buy a drill, you don't really want a drill. What you want is a hole. And you don't even really want a hole. You want to have a vehicle to hang something or to affix something. So the more you can put into words what people want, why they want it, what they're trying to accomplish by getting it, the more you own what's called their mind share, the more connected and trusted you are. Also, what you want to be doing with them is you have a moral obligation to never allow them to buy less than they should, in less quantity, quality, combination, or frequency than they should, because you will be deserving them. Most people don't really know what is optimal, what is going to produce the best outcome. And normally, both you and your buyer lose. You don't get the maximum current and future sales you should. They don't get the maximum outcome and benefit they should. And that's your fault. If you want to be preeminent, you won't allow that to happen. You will never let them buy less than they should. You will never let them buy less quality than they should. You will never let them buy less combinations than they should. You will never let them buy less frequency than they should. Not because you want to make the most amount of profit, but rather because you want them to benefit to the highest and best degree possible. The next is most people in your business either fall in love with their industry, their product or service, or their company. That is much more limited than falling in love with the clients you serve and seeing your product or service at work in their life or business making a difference. For example, if you had a special kind of dishwasher soap, you wouldn't just think about how it cleans better. You would think about the fact that every night when they sit down to dinner, their silverware and their plates are beautiful, spotless, and every time they have guests over, they can be proud because their dishes shine because your product is at work in their life. You look at the transformative impact your product or service has on them. The next thing is you future pace. You take them into the future to show them how different their life or business will be when they have your product or service at work in it. The next is human nature is difficult to grasp complexities or new ideas, so that the way to communicate anything new, different, special is with metaphors, similes, and analogies. Any religion that has any kind of a guidebook, they use parables, stories that teach a principle, stories that teach a lesson. You want to use examples in other people's lives that they can easily relate to make the point of why your product or service is different, better, produces a certain kind of an advantage or outcome. The last thing there's a ton more than this, but the last point is I'm using the word client in being preeminent over customer. If you call somebody a customer, what you're really saying between the lines is my business is nothing more than a commodity. There's nothing different, special, important, and worth choosing me over anything else because there's nothing different about me. That is not what I think you want to convey or telegraph. And if you want to be preeminent, the only choice they can make, the most trusted advisor, you definitely want to not explain it as a customer. If you look at the definition of a client, it is somebody under the care, the protection, the well-being of another. That elevates your positioning, and they may not know the definition, but if you and your whole team does, it'll elevate the way you conduct yourself in your interactions with clients. And by the way, you actually have 3 categories of clients. Certainly category 1 are the people that pay you, the buyers, but category 2 are the people and 3 are the people you pay, your team members. You have to have their best interests, their well-being. You have to grow and develop them. They have to feel like you want them to be ever more successful. They have to feel collaborative. They have to feel like they're on a mission and a crusade. The last one is your vendors. They're the ultimate partners, or they can be the ultimate adversaries, and it all depends on whether you are strategically preeminent or you are tactically short-term, purely looking to get the lowest price. So preeminence can transform your business. It can elevate you. It has a power, it has a prestige, it has a positioning advantage that is very, very defendable. It gives you a moat, a protected moat that is very difficult for your competitors to break through. And it also is much more liberating, satisfying, fulfilling for you and for your whole team, because you're operating at a much more rarefied level of understanding of the relationship you are having with your buyer. So I recommend that you become preeminent as easily, quickly, and meaningfully as possible. I can promise your business will improve and you'll get far more joy and satisfaction out of being in it. Thank you.